Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we are doing yet another deck tech for the Dragon, really just because with the new Tarkir Dragonstorm, it's kind of Dragon Tribal the set, so with the massive influx of dragons, and I've also been getting a couple requests to make this updated video, I figured why not. So going back into it, Eminence, as long as the Dragon is in the command zone or on the battlefield, other dragon spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. He's a flying 10/10, and then whenever one or more dragons you control attack, draw that many cards, and then you may put a permanent card from your hand onto the battlefield. So this is 5-color Dragon Tribal, at least updated. So why play the Dragon? Eminence is the strongest keyword. You just get a cost reducer forever, and one of the big issues with dragons is that dragons all cost a lot, right? Now all of your dragons are permanently discounted by 1. The 5-color gives a lot of flexibility, especially like I said earlier, Tarkir Dragonstorm just added a ton of new dragon and dragon support, as one could imagine, so we have a bunch of brand new cards to add to this deck. Dragon is also a flying beater that can kill someone in like 2 turns or so, 2 or 3 turns. It's like 21 commander damage if you have any kind of buff on this or whatever. It's a 2-turn kill if you have any kind of +1, or it's a 3-turn kill at the very worst in commander damage. And then she also just, I think it is a she, because she's the mother of dragons, that makes sense. Well, it's more of like an amalgamation, like an avatar, so I guess it's like, I don't know, I'm gonna call her she. Offers a lot of card draw and just kind of free permanent. Like, you simply just attack, like you have the Dragon on the field, you simply attack, not with her necessarily, just whenever one or more dragons attack. You draw cards equal to the number of attacking dragons, and then you get to cheat in 1 permanent, which is really nice. And then an added benefit just for the tribe of dragons, most of them just fly. So they all kind of have evasion. And again, not only do they all fly, but they're all also massive. Like, this is a flying 10/10, good luck. So here's the game plan, right? Game plan hasn't really changed much from last video. We don't need the Dragon to win, but that's also kind of not true. Like, so we don't need her to win, right? We don't, like, the cost reduction is just always there, right? So in like a regular Dragon Tribal deck, like in the same build, we don't need the Dragon to win, but the cost reduction is always there. I guess what I'm trying to say is we don't need to play the Dragon to win. It's a great big creature. What is it? Like a 9-mana 10/10 with flying that draws cards and plays cards for free, which is really good, but we don't necessarily need her to win. Early game, just drop some rocks, some ramps, be able to play dragons as soon as possible. Mid game, we just want to play our mid-costed dragons for way cheap because they're way discounted. And then late game, we can play the Dragon, and really we just draw a ton of cards, play a bunch of free permanents, and then ultimately we're winning with big, massive attacking creatures that all have a lot of really good utility. Channel and deck stuff, this is the most expensive deck I've done a deck tech for. Like, and I mean unintentionally expensive. Like, I could make a deck and I could toss in Demonic Tutors and Fast Mana, and like, it could be, you know, a couple grand just for the hell of it, but I don't like doing that. I kind of like it when it makes sense for the deck. This deck, unironically, is like $1,100. There's a lot of stuff you can do, and there's a lot of things to be cautious of. Like, there's a lot of dragons in this deck that are still kind of new, a lot of cards from the new set that still kind of haven't settled, so you'll see a couple $20 cards here and there. And again, like, you don't necessarily need every single one of these cards in the deck just to work. Like, you can always cut them. But if you do for some reason want to spend $1,100, you can get the card you need right from the link down below. And as always, like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. And I always like it when you guys comment. Always tell me what you guys think of the decks. I'll always try to respond to them. Or I always do try to respond to them. Going into the only battle in the entire deck, we have Invasion of Tarkir. It's a siege. I guess that's the only kind of battle. When it enters, reveal a dragon if you want any number of dragons, and then when we do, it deals 2 damage plus X, or X is the number of dragons revealed this way. Worst case scenario, it's just a 2-mana reveal nothing shock at sorcery speed. And then when we attack it and we can get rid of all 5 of the defense counters or whatever they're called, the not loyalty counters, it flips over into Defiant Thunderball, which is just a flying trample 4/4, and whenever a dragon attacks, it deals 2 damage, which can go kind of crazy. Going into dragons, we have a lot, naturally. Ancient Copper Dragon and Ancient Silver Dragon, functionally the same exact reason. Not reason, but the same exact mechanic. And before I go into the meat and cheese of all the dragons, I want to mention every dragon is reduced by 1. Again, every dragon is reduced by 1 from Dragon's Eminence effect. So Ancient Copper Dragon actually costs 5, Ancient Silver Dragon costs 7, and a TARKIR costs 6, right? Always discount by 1 when evaluating cards in this kind of deck. Ancient Copper Dragon, so functionally, is a 5 mana, 6/5 flying. When it deals combat damage to a player, roll a d20. You make that many treasure tokens. Ancient Silver Dragon, you roll d20, draw that many cards, and then you get no max hand size for the rest of the game. It's like a pseudo emblem. It's really cool. A Tarka just gives dragons double strike. Just whenever one of our creatures attacks, it just gets double strike. We are Dragon Tribal. We have a lot of dragons. We have very few non-dragons. And really, the non-dragons support our dragons. So who cares about those guys? And again, just in a vacuum, Atarka in this deck is a 6 mana, 6/4 flying trample double striker on attack. Pretty crazy. Balefire Dragon, flying. When it deals combat damage to a player, it deals damage to each creature that player controls. So we connect, again, a 6 mana flying 6/6. It attacks, it connects, it deals 6 damage to each creature that player controls. Really good. Bleedwing is just good as a reanimate, and then it just kind of gives all of our dragons fire breathing, which is kind of cool. Bloomvine Region is a brand new card. We have the Claim Territory. So early game, I kind of like these Omen cards. So Omen is basically like Adventure, but instead of putting it off into exile, you just shuffle the hold card back in your deck, right? So they're more powerful effects and more powerful bodies, but they get shuffled back into the deck. So if early game we really feel like it, we can just get 2 basic forests to the battlefield tapped. That's just, or 1 tapped, 1 to our hand, which is just good ramp really. We don't miss a land drop. But if we do choose to play it, it is a 4 mana, 4/5 flying, and then whenever it or another dragon enters, you gain 3 life. Incidental life gain is very, very powerful. It may not like feel like it, but like when you play like just like 3 dragons, gaining like 9 life is no joke. Like that will undo people's combats. That will undo like a lot of burn damage. It's really good passively. Broodcaller Scourge, another brand new dragon. Whenever 1 or more dragons you control deal combat damage to a player, you may put a permanent card with mana value less than or equal to the damage from your hand onto the battlefield. So again, not 7 mana, 6 mana, 5/7. In a vacuum, we connect. We just play a permanent card with 5 mana or less for free. Very cool. Dragonhawk, whenever it enters or attacks, and again, like cards like these are so crazy because Dragonhawk is a 4 mana 5/5 with flying. When it enters or attacks, exile the top X cards of your deck, where X is a number of creatures you control with power 4 or greater. Very worst case, it's just Dragonhawk. You can play those cards until our end step, and then at the beginning of our end step, Dragonhawk's going to deal 2 damage to each opponent for each of the cards that are still exiled. So we're either getting more card advantage, or we're just lasering each opponent for 2 at the very worst, which is pretty solid still. Dragonlord Servant really just makes our dragons cost 1 less. Like this is like a good turn to play, just cost reducer. So now all our dragons functionally cost 2 less. Dragon Speaker Shaman does the same exact thing, except it makes all of our dragons cost 3 less because of the Dragon's ability, which again makes Goldspan Dragon a 2 mana 4/4 flying haste that actually does pay for itself, because when it attacks or becomes the target of a spell, we can make a treasure token, and basically all of our treasures tap for 2 mana of any one color instead. So really, really good. Hellkite Courser is super sick in this deck. Really just most decks with a big ETB ability. When it enters, right, you may put basically the Dragon from the command zone onto the battlefield, and it gains haste, and then we return it to the command zone at the beginning of the next end step. So cool thing about the Dragon, right, is we don't necessarily need to attack with the Dragon, but even if we do, right, let's say we just play Hellkite Courser for 5 mana, and then we attack with the 10/10 flying Dragon because it's going to have haste when it comes in up this, we're going to at least draw 1 card and then play a free permanent. So it's basically a 2-for-1. Lathless Dragon Queen, it's a staple in every dragon deck. Whenever another non-token dragon enters, you make a 5/5 dragon token, and then our dragons have fire breathing. Miram Sentinel Worm, probably one of if not like the best dragons in all of Magic. Flying Ward 2, which kind of says hexproof. Whenever another non-token dragon enters, it comes in with a token that's a copy of it, except it's not legendary. So now Lathless, when it enters, it's actually 2 Lathless. So now whenever a non-token dragon enters, you make 2 5/5s, which is really cool. Or an Old Gnawbone, whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, make that many treasures. Now we have 2 of those abilities with Mirim. So now whenever a creature deals combat damage with the Old Gnawbone with Mirim, we now get 2 treasures for each 1 damage, which is pretty crazy. Parapet Thrasher is another brand new card. Flying 4/4, again 3 mana flying 4/3. Whenever 1 or more dragons you control deals combat damage to an opponent, choose one that hasn't been chosen. Ideally, we're doing everything. So we're either going to destroy target artifact that player controls, which again is really, really solid. Just keeping them off mana or getting rid of their big utility artifacts or whatever is very powerful. Dealing 4 damage to each other creature. So then let's say, and let's just talk completely in a vacuum, right? Parapet Thrasher is the only dragon we have on the field. Parapet Dragon connects with the player because it's a flying 4/3, so for 3 mana, have fun blocking it. We're either going to destroy an artifact that player controls, which at that point in the game, if we play it on turn 3, is probably going to be like a Soul Ring or a Talisman, Chromatic Lantern, maybe like a, I don't know, if we're feeling sadistic, like a Great Furnace, like an artifact land. It's going to deal 4 damage to each other opponent, which is also really cool because functionally it's dealing, assuming we're in a pod of 4, we have 3 opponents. 4 times 3 is now 12, so it's functionally attacking for 12 damage. It's each other opponent, so the player you attacked doesn't get hit by this 4, but it's spreading the love. Or we exile the top card of our deck and we can play it. So it's just more draw. Parapet Thrasher is absolutely insane. Rith Liberated Primeval, flying ward 2, which is basically hexproof. Other dragons kind of have hexproof with that ward 2. And then at the beginning of our end step, if a creature or planeswalker an opponent control was dealt excess damage this turn, we make a 4/4 flying red dragon with flying. Now the really cool thing about this is since all of our dragons are massive, if someone like blocks in the air with like a 1/1 flyer, like this ability always happens, like because all our dragons are so big, like it's very unlikely that they're just gonna get like die. Like they're either gonna get killed with a kill spell, which is gonna be prevented, at least kind of prevented by the ward 2, or they're gonna get chumped, which is then going to make us a 4/4 with functionally ward 2. Rivaz, he's a Vishanu. He's not even close to a dragon, even though he kind of looks like one. He's got Menace. We can tap him for 2 mana to cast dragons. We can cast dragons from our grave, and then whenever we cast a dragon spell from our grave, it just gets, when it dies, exile it forever, which again is really, really fine. Who cares? It's a mana dork. It's a mana dork for dragons that lets us cast dragons from our grave. Roaming Throne is actually a dragon if you look close enough at it, but only when it's on the field. But it's really a golem with ward 2. It just doubles up all of our dragon abilities. Pretty much it. It's a doubler. Sarkhan, he's not a dragon, but he makes our dragons cost 1 less, and when he really feels like it, he can become a copy of one of our dragons when one of our other dragons enter, except it's that dragon's name is Sarkhan, Soul of Flame, and not whatever legendary dragon name it is. So we can have 2 of them, and again, our dragons cost 1 less. Scale Lord Reckoner, whenever a dragon you control becomes the target of a spell or an ability, destroy target non-land that player controls. So this guy's coming down turn 4, 4 mana 4/4, which is really, really good. And if someone tries to kill our dragons, we kind of crack back at them too. Scavenger Regent, brand new card. The body of it's kind of okay. It's just like a 3 mana flying 4/4 with ward discard a card, which isn't that bad. But I really like the idea of having a repeatable nuke, right? So one of the weaknesses, so each non-dragon gets -X/-X. One of the issues with running a deck like dragons is you can have some difficulty with like token decks or really mostly go wide decks, just because it's like, well, we kind of only have a couple big dudes that wins us the game, while our opponents have a lot of really small dudes and we can only block so many. We can, like, usually in a race we might lose that race. So being able to constantly just shuffle it away, nuke all non-dragons, it's really solid. Scion of the Ur-Dragon, pay 2 mana, search your deck for a dragon card, and put it into our grave. And if we do, it becomes a copy of that dragon until end of turn. Which is really, really cool, because what we can do is, like, there's a lot of cool dragons we can just do. And it's at instant speed we can do this. So if there's, like, any kind of, like, dragon that cares about connecting, like dealing damage to an opponent, or if there's, like, anything, let's say, like, a good option would be a Tarka, like paying 3 mana in response to, like, before combat, right? Paying 3 mana, we bin a Tarka, our dragons get double strike, we attack, all of our dragons have double strike. It's a good tutor, you know, it's fine. I like it. Scourge of Valkus, whenever it or another dragon enters the battlefield, it deals X damage to target creature or player, where X is the number of dragons you control, which only progressively gets bigger and bigger, and then he has fire breathing. Terror or the Peaks, we have like we just have like a lot of big dragons. Like Tiamat's a 7/7, two-headed Hellkite's a 5/5. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under our control, it deals damage to equal to that creature's power to any target. So we're killing off our opponent's creatures, their planeswalkers, we're zapping our opponent's faces, which is really good. It's just all around great value. And he's a 4-mana flying kind of ward, pay 3 life, 5/4. And I know it's not really ward, but you know. Tiamat, when it enters, search a deck up to 5 dragons not named Tiamat with different names. Put them into our hand. Now, the really cool thing about Tiamat in Commander is that all of our dragons have to have different names, and no other dragon in our deck can be named Tiamat. So it's basically search your deck for 5 dragons and put them in your hand. Really, really good. I'm sure there are ways you can combo with this setup. I don't really think there's any way to set up in this deck. It's just going to replace it. Like, you're going to tutor up the 5 best dragons you'd like to your hand. Two-headed Hellkite has 2 heads. Flying Menace because he has 2 heads. And Haste, not really relevant. But whenever he attacks, we draw 2, which is also really good. And it just costs 5 mana for a Flying Menace Haste 5/5 that draws us a lot. On attack, Ureni of the Unwritten and Ureni of the Song Unending. A lot of un stuff with Ureni. So Ureni, I actually did another deck tech for Ureni on the left, Ureni of the Unwritten. Give that a good look. A lot of it's pretty similar. It's just Temur dragons compared to 5-color dragons. So Ureni is Flying Trample 7/7 for 7. Whenever it enters or attacks, you may put a dragon creature card from among them onto the battlefield after looking at the top 8 cards of our deck. Which is kind of weird because it's a 7 mana for 7/7 that looks at the top 8. Now, I'm not complaining, right? The deeper we're digging, the better. But kind of like weird, right? Not crazy. But either way, enters or attacks, play a free dragon, right? Surely, if we look at the top 8 cards of our deck, we're gonna hit a dragon. Ureni, the Song Unending. If any of you had a fun pre-release playing against it, you'll know how crazy Ureni of the Song Unending is. Flying, protection from white and black, 10/10 for, alright. When it enters, deal X damage divided as you choose among any number of target creatures and or planeswalkers your opponents control, where X is a number of lands you control. Let's look at this in a vacuum with an Dragon mindset. So Ureni costs 1 less, so instead of being an 8/8 or an 8 mana, it's actually a 7 mana. Let's assume we have no rocks, so let's say we cast Ureni for 7 mana. We're dividing 7 damage among any number of target creature or planeswalkers our opponents control. It's like a baby one-sided board wipe, or maybe it's a full one-sided board wipe. Either way, it is a flying 10/10 with pro white and black, so good luck killing it. Like, honestly, good luck killing it. Like, I don't even know what you're gonna have to do to get rid of that forever. Utvara Hellkite. Whenever a dragon you control attacks, you make a 6/6 dragon. Short, sweet, to the point. And it's not really 8 mana, it's actually 7. And then the final 2 dragons we have are Wrathful Red Dragon. So whenever a dragon is dealt damage, it deals that much damage to any target that's not a dragon. We're praying, guys. We're praying, fingers crossed, for a Blasphemous Act if we play this dude. But yeah, I mean, if anyone tries to deal damage to our dragons, if anyone tries to block our dragons, like, we're just gonna deal a lot of damage to any target that's not a dragon. And a cool thing about dealing damage to any target that isn't a dragon is our opponents are not dragons. Now, Zurgo and Ojutai, that's an orc dragon. Flying Haste, hexproof as long as he came into play. Whenever one or more dragons you control deal combat damage to a player or battle, thank you, Mother March of the Machines, thank you for battles. Look at the top 3 cards of our deck, put one in our hand and the rest on the bottom, and then we can bounce one of those dragons to our hands. Which is kind of fun. I don't think we have like a ton of crazy ETB abilities. It could be cute with like maybe some of the Omen ones we have, but I feel like at that point, kind of why would we? I don't know. Either way, we're sneaking in. We're functionally drawing the best of 3, which is great. Going into sorceries, really nothing I don't think has changed from the sorcery side from my previous deck tech. Crux of Fate. I'll give you a hint. We're going to destroy all non-dragons because destroying all dragons doesn't bode well for our dragon deck. Explore, we'll play an additional land, draw a card. Really great early game. Farseek is excellent just to search out really a tri-land or a tri. Basically, we're searching up a tri almost always with Farseek. And then Nature's Lore and 3 Visits, we're also most likely tutoring up a tri-land. Or if we need the mana right then and there, we're just going to get an untapped green shock land, which will also be okay. Going into instance, we have Anguished Unmaking to get rid of something forever that we don't like. Assassin's Trophy will get rid of a permanent we don't like, and they can have a land, who cares? And Heroic Intervention if someone tries to board wipe. Again, we have a lot of big dragons. We don't really want all of our dragons to go away after like spending turns to cast them. We have Sarkhan's Triumph. Search his deck for a dragon, put it into our hand. Is Sarkhan's Triumph a great card? It's alright. Is it silly and on theme? Yeah, it's not bad. I think it's a funny. I mean, it's tutor for a dragon. How bad could it be? Smuggler's Surprise is actually a big surprise because you don't really care about doing the +2 ability. Really, what you care about is doing the middle ability and then maybe in a pinch the bottom ability. So ideally we do them all, but for all intents and purposes, we're hoping to just do. I mean, we're hoping to do all of it, but it's fine to rip off just the bottom or just the middle. So the +2 is mill 4 cards, and you may put 2 creature cards and or lands from among them into our hand. So basically that's a way to get back dragons from our grave to our hand. We can pay the extra 5 to put 2 dragons really from our hand onto the battlefield at instant speed, and then we can add an extra 1 mana to that to give our creatures with power 4 or greater, hexproof, and indestructible. And the cool thing about dragons is they're almost all power 4 or greater. So the big surprise is how much mana is that? So what is that? 6, 7, 8, 9 mana. You do a big surprise to someone. It's good. I mean, like, ideally we're just cheating in dragons at instant speed and having a protection spell if we need it. Going into artifacts, we have Arcane Signet just because it taps for any color. Dragon Swords taps for any color. It's on flavor. Whenever a dragon enters, we put a gold counter on Dragon Sword, which is a pretty cool sentence to say. And then we could remove a gold counter to draw a card in a pinch, or it's just a mana rock worst case. Felwar Stone pretty much is always going to tap for a mana of any color, just because we're a 5-color deck and we're really not going to miss. Fist of Suns is excellent. We can pay 5 mana instead of, really Wooburg rather than pay the cost of spells. So instead of paying like 9 mana for Ur-Dragon or maybe like 7 mana for Utvara Hellkite or whatever, it's just 5. Herd Heirloom, I've actually really started to take a liking to in a lot of big creature decks. I actually just added it to my Elemental Tribal deck, but that's for another day maybe. 2 mana, add 1 mana of any color to only cast creature spells. That's fine, we're a creature deck. And then at instant speed until end of turn, target creature you control with power 4 or greater gets trample, and whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, we draw a card. Now it's really excellent because a lot of our dragons already have flying, and now they have trample, so it's kind of like good luck blocking it. Lightning Greaves, we're really just going to want to put on, say, like a utility creature or like a good utility dragon, or really if we just want a dragon to attack when it comes out right away. Either way, Lightning Greaves, we can't go wrong. We don't have like anything that targets our dragons. Orb of Dragonkind is basically mana fixing the cast dragons, and then we can sacrifice it and pay a red to look at the top 7 cards of our deck and put a dragon from among them into our hand. Soul Ring is Soul Ring. Great Henge kind of costs 9, but it almost never costs 9. It just taps for green and gains us 2 life, and then whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield under our control, we're just going to put a counter on it and draw a card. So our dragons are already cost reduced, so we play them even faster. They're always big power, which is going to make Great Henge cost way less. We're probably casting Great Henge for like, I don't know, like 4 or 5. And we're just gaining life and drawing a lot of cards and making our guys a little bit bigger. And then the final artifact we have is Urza's Incubator. We're going to say dragon to make our dragons functionally with Ur-Dragon cost 3 less. Going into enchantments, funny enough, all brand new enchantments. I'm running Breaching Dragonstorm in this deck, and I'm not running any of the other Dragonstorm cards because I think they're okay, and I think Breaching is the best of them. When it enters, Cascade 8. I guess it's actually like technically Discover 8. So yeah, when it enters, Discover 8, and then whenever a dragon enters, return this to the hand. Dragons are, I feel like very rarely are we going to pay 5 mana for this and get like a 4 mana thing. I feel like generally that's not going to happen too much, and even if it does happen, we're just going to play a dragon and bounce it to our hand anyways. Call of the Spirit Dragons is such a silly card. Dragons have Indestructible. If it had nothing else on it, I'd probably still keep it in the deck. At the beginning of your upkeep, for each color, put a 1/1 counter on a dragon you control of that color. If you put a 1/1 counter on 5 dragons this way, you win the game. So basically, to win the game, you are going to need a dragon of each color. or you're basically just going to need a 5-color dragon and 4 other dragons to put it on. You just need one of each color. That's really it. So you could have like a 5-mana dragon and then or a 5-color dragon and then 4 colorless dragons, and that'll win the game. Pretty good. Dracogenesis. You may cast dragons without paying their mana cost. I'm not even going to elaborate because it's good. I mean, it does cost 8, right? But I mean, like, come on. Play dragons for free? Dragon draws a lot of cards? Whew. Dragon Tempest. Whenever a creature with flying enters, it gets haste, so our dragons enter as hasty guys, and then whenever a dragon enters, it deals X damage to target creature or player or X number of dragons, so it's really just another Scourge of Valkus, but giving our dragons haste, and it's 2 mana. Kindred Discovery, we're probably just going to say dragon when it enters. Whenever a dragon enters or attacks, we draw. Pretty good. Rhystic Study. It's a game changer, the best card in all of Magic. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, we may draw a card unless they pay 1. So we're either taxing them or we're drawing cards. Either way, it's a win-win. Rhythm of the Wild. Creature spells can't be countered. Our creatures can't be countered, rather. Now, that's kind of a pretty big deal because when I know we have a lot of cost reduction in the deck, right? But we don't want to, say, play the Dragon and spend 9 mana just for someone to counter it, right? Like, we don't want to pay, like, even 6 mana for a dragon, because like 6 mana, like, that's like a turn. Like, earlier games, like, that's a turn. We don't want to pay 6 mana or play a 6 mana dragon and then just have it be countered. So it's nice. And then non-token creatures you control have Riot, so they're either just going to enter with a 1/1 counter on haste. I would say, honestly, do what makes sense, because some dragons have haste, or like sometimes like you don't really need to attack, like if you're still setting up, or if you're getting ready for a big attack next turn or whatever, right? If you wanted to attack right away, go nuts, or they can just enter with a 1/1 counter. Either way, not being countered is big. Temur Ascendancy to give our creatures haste, and then whenever a creature with power 4 or greater enters the battlefield, draw a card, and that's like our whole deck. Now, something I will say is funny is if we have Temur Ascendancy and Rhythm of the Wild, our creatures have haste, so we can just say, yeah, they're going to enter with a 1/1 counter, and then they'll still have haste with Temur Ascendancy. Up the Beanstalk, whenever you cast a spell with mana value 5 or greater, we draw a card, which is really good because that is a lot of our deck, at least most of the creatures, and even though they are discounted, they will still be considered 5 or greater, so we'll always draw. Going into lands, it's honestly nothing too crazy. We're running each of the Shocklands, we're running each of the Triomes, and then we're running Cavern of Souls, say Dragon. Like, again, we don't want our dragons being countered, and it's going to tap for a mana of any color. Exotic Orchard will always tap for a mana of any color, or even if it doesn't tap for a mana of any color, at the very worst, it's just going to tap for, like, a dual land. Like, unless each of our opponents are playing, like, a monocolored deck, which would still even be fine, as long as it's not the same color, we'll be okay. Haven of the Spirit Dragon, taps for a colorless or 1 mana of any color to cast dragons, and then we can pay 2 and sacrifice it to return a dragon card from our grave to our hand. Ignore the Ugin Planeswalker part, because we don't have an Ugin Planeswalker. Maelstrom of the Spirit Dragon is really the only new land I did add to this. So, tap it for a colorless, 1 mana to cast a dragon or an omen spell. We got 2 omens. And then we can pay 4 mana, tap it, sack it to search our deck for a dragon, and put it into our hand. Which, again, like, we get to a point where we're just going to have enough mana, and, like, going down a land isn't really going to matter if it means, like, we can just instant speed tutor for a dragon. Path of Ancestry taps for any color, and then whenever we cast a dragon, at least whenever we use the mana to cast a dragon, we'll scry 1. Reflecting Pool will really just replicate whatever mana we have. Secluded Courtyard taps for a mana of any dragon, or any color to cast dragons, and then 3 Tree City is basically Nykthos, but for dragons. We're just going to choose a color and tap for that many of dragons. Do I think it's going to go nuts? No, but, like, do I think it could tap for 5? Yeah, pretty reasonably it could tap for 5. And then going into basics, we have 2 forests, 2 islands, 3 mountains, 1 plains, and 1 swamp, just because we are a bit more of a red heavy deck, because a lot of dragons, believe it or not, are fire and red, and I don't know, it's the color pie. But that's all I got for you guys. Thank you guys for watching. Get the card you need from the link right down below. Please, guys, don't spend $1,000 on this deck. It's just like, just wait. It's gonna get cheaper, I promise. But either way, get the card you need from the link right down below if you want to. And then, as always, like, subscribe, and comment to the channel. Comment to the video. I don't know. Let me know what you think about it. Let me know if I'm stupid, or let me know if you agree. Either way, we'll talk about it down below. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys next time.